Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you who Conor McGregor is going to fight after Floyd Mayweather.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why Odell Beckham Jr. maybe isn't crazy to think he should be the highest paid player in the National Football League. Speak for yourself starts now. I know what you're thinking. I'm nuts, but just hear me out on this.
I will not be apologizing for anything I say offensive today. All right, how about that? All right? Hello and welcome. We're joined today by Super Bowl champ Greg Jennings and Cowherd's co-host on The Herd, Christine Leahy. Let's start in New York City, where Odell Beckham Jr. has been making headlines this offseason, skipping OTAs, making circus catches when he finally showed up to practice, and telling the Giants to make room for another Super Bowl banner. Odell also said recently he thinks he should be the highest paid player in the NFL. Cowherd, should the Giants make him the league's highest paid player?
Okay, I wouldn't, but just hear me out on this. Who's the highest paid guy, actor in Hollywood? Is it the best actor? It's a former pro wrestler, The Rock. The second highest grossing band in the world is Bon Jovi. I don't think they're the second band. Clayton Kershaw plays every 4 days in LA. He's the highest paid baseball player. In a city as big and as crucial as New York, that is virtually starless, on a highly productive player with immense leverage and the ability to sell tickets, suites, and merchandise, I can make an absolutely compelling argument that he should be the highest paid non-quarterback and perhaps more highly compensated than a large chunk of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, I think that, The Rock's made a lot of bad movies, and the Giants have to win Super Bowls. And football is about winning Super Bowls, and it's about playoff performance, as I've said throughout the offseason. Until the guy performs in the playoff, I'm just not making him the highest paid player. Until he plays the quarterback position, I'm not making him the highest paid player.
I am shocked right now that the icing you think should make the most money.
I don't think it's the most important position, but money.
Don't let her talk. You've done well. You've done well.
Honestly, I'm shocked because Odell Beckham Jr. is the perfect example for you of icing.
You build a team from the inside out, but you pay the guys on the outside the most money.
See, I like the icing. You know I'm a big component of it on cakes and in football players. But I don't agree with you here. I think the quarterback should absolutely make the most amount of money, and this is why. If you look at how many times Odell Beckham Jr. on average was targeted last year per game, 10. Eli Manning touched the ball about 64 times per game, so he has more control over the game. I do think Odell Beckham should be paid a lot of money, but not like that.
You know, I'm gonna say yes because I'm biased to the position. I'm gonna be honest. And to your point, a little bit to touch on that. When you're in a market as large as New York, and we look at the landscape of sports in New York, he's the biggest face, biggest name.
He is global.
Absolutely.
He is no longer a domestic performer.
Absolutely. But
go ahead.
But in a game where, to your point now, Christine, like the quarterback is so crucial to success because they have the ball every single snap on offense. And it's hard to justify paying a guy, and again, I'm all for him to getting it, so go get it, Beck, go get it. I'm all for him getting it, but a quarterback has to make so many more decisions and run the team offensively and just distribute everything. It's hard to have a receiver making more than a quarterback.
Okay. Listen, I agree with all this stuff, but there's two metropolises in America, New York and LA. DC's big, but Chicago and Dallas are not global cities. New York and LA are. Look at what the Clippers did with Blake Griffin. It was beyond basketball. It was selling suites.
Colin, hold for 1 second. Colin, it's the NFL. They've been selling tickets for the New York Giants for eternity. If he drops dead today, no one's canceling the season ticket, the waiting list for season tickets, the TV ratings aren't changing. Rock actually sells movie tickets. The other people, they're dependent. Those businesses are dependent on these people. The New York Giants nor the NFL are remotely dependent upon Odell Beckham Jr.
But does he have leverage?
You could argue for quarterbacks being dependent. But the argument that somehow he's needed, that's what really drives your leverage in terms of selling ticket and box office, is just not there. The Jets sell tickets.
Okay, so what will they pay him?
I don't know, but I just don't think he should be the highest paid
They
player.
will make a decision as an organization. J.J. Watt, who doesn't score touchdowns, got $20 million a year. And nobody blinked an eye. And he doesn't move merchandise, and he plays in Houston.
He's not the highest paid player.
No, but I'm saying $20 million puts you in a very rarefied quarterback air. We have paid a defense. Listen, I think Odell Beckham's the third best receiver in the league. But I honestly believe when Kobe signed with the Lakers, that was a deal beyond wins. He was selling Time Warner.
So you're saying he has star power?
Beyond star power.
But then you have to also be okay with his celebrations, how he's flashy, his apologizing to the net. You can't choose one or the other.
Yes, I can.
When you look at New York, I mean, their fan base, sports fans in New York, they understand sport. They understand the games. And so to say they're not going to be willing to pay Odell, I think he'll be the highest paid player on that team.
Okay, so by the way, that's interesting. He does, and so do I. How can he get paid more than?
I think he has to be because
on that team, we're talking about the highest paid.
Well, no. But Eli Manning's making $25 million. He's one of the highest paid players in the league, and he's going to make. I believe he's going to make.
He might, but again, the conversation was about should he be the highest paid player in the league?
That'll be hard. I'm rooting for him.
Arguing it on the supposition that The Rock makes a lot in movies. The Rock sells a lot of movie tickets. He sells jerseys, Odell does, but the Giants have been selling out and will continue to sell out. The Giants and the NFL are a big franchise.
Ezekiel Elliot is expected to file an appeal of a 6-game suspension today or tomorrow. Now, a new report claims Roger Goodell, the commish, didn't even attend the investigative hearings leading up to the suspension and never met with Elliot or his accuser in person to hear their stories and gauge their credibility. Whitlock, did Roger Goodell mishandle the investigation?
I think that when you start dictating people's lives, careers, public image, you owe them a face-to-face meeting. I don't know what the justification was for not being there when Zeke's hearing was going on. I don't know what the justification is for not personally meeting with the accuser. But when you're deciding something this important, I think you owe it to people to look them in the eyes, have that conversation. Ezekiel Elliott's reputation's on the line. The accuser's reputation's on the line. Meet with them face-to-face. Yeah, I think this is a mistake.
But if he meets with them face-to-face, does he not have to meet with every crucial suspension? And if there's 67 a year, to me, this is why CEOs have department heads. If indeed he meets with a cowboy and a star cowboy, if I'm a Denver Bronco, a Steeler, a Jacksonville Jaguar, a Titan, you didn't meet with me. What, you meet with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys?
That's exactly where I have the biggest problem with this, though, because what he's doing, he had plenty of time to meet with Tom Brady personally over the PSI of a football, but he doesn't have enough time to meet with Ezekiel Elliott over allegations of domestic violence. That doesn't send a very good message. It shows that the PSI is way more important than the integrity of your players, and this has been repeated accusations. And I don't have any problem with him not meeting with the accuser. I personally, if that happened to me, I wouldn't want to meet with Roger Goodell. I'd be terrified, and I would say, why do I even have to put myself through this and tell the story again? It doesn't make sense, especially looking at the way that he's handled situations in the past. But when Roger Goodell has gone and taken the time to meet with Tom Brady personally over air in a football, he's being paid $40 million something per year. It's in the CBA that he makes the final decision. That's your job. You've got to meet with people about this, especially if it's a star player that you think is going to be in the league for a long time.
Two totally different situations there. You're talking about Deflategate. You're talking about domestic violence. Mm-hmm. The last time domestic violence was a big deal with a running back in this league, they made a big boo-boo. Let's just say they did that with Ray Rice. And I feel like after making that mistake, they put in place a team. It's just like having a CEO. You know what? I need my CEO to run that, handle that, take care of that. So that it doesn't disengage him, but because he's going to always be involved, he's going to always know what's going on. But you put someone who's better suited to take care of the day-to-day every single case, as you alluded to.
But I'm going to make the judgment.
But I'm going to make the judgment of the ruling based on what you bring. I mean, that's what we do in corporate America.
You're right. You're right. But apparently he wasn't even at some of the meetings where they were discussing what had happened. And when you are the commissioner and you're making that much money, and you're right, when Zeke's reputation is on the line like that and the future of the league, you have to take the time to at least have one meeting.
I totally get that, but
he's kind of passing. He's saying, I don't want to be held responsible because of the Ray Rice situation, so I'm going to pass that off to other people.
No, I think he recognized that they made a mistake in the Ray Rice situation. So let's put a team together and in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again and remove ourselves from it. Even though,
but I'm going to make the decision on someone's
based on who I've hired to do the job.
Listen, I think you're right, and I think it's a great thing that he hired people who can probably handle that situation better than he can. But right now, he still is the ultimate decider in what happens, and so you have to dip your foot in that water.
You're almost arguing, like, Greg, that a judge, we've got a prosecutor, we got a defense attorney, we got a jury. I'm going to step out of the courtroom, let you guys hash it out. I'll get a report about what transpired in the courtroom, and I'll make a decision. If my life is on the line, I want the person making the decision in that room with me so they can look me in the eyes and I can look them in the eyes and know what they're thinking.
But if you do that with Ezekiel, then you have to do it with every running back that backs up the Tennessee Titans or whatever roster.
Then the thing you do is remove yourself. If you're too busy to handle the job, don't raise your hand and accept the job.
That's fair.
Don't mail it in to, I'm gonna get a report. Hire someone else to do that job.
From top to bottom.
And you step aside.
Completely remove yourself.
Completely remove yourself. You can't put 1/2 foot in and 1/2 foot out and expect justice to come out on the other end.
Because I do believe there is a sense, all fans are like this, that the league favors the Lakers and the Yankees and the Cowboys. So if there is a perception that, oh, you're all in on the Cowboy case and you're not on the Jaguars case.
Well, yeah, I think in this instance, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm saying, no, you're trying to make an example out of me and the Cowboys, and you're being unfair. You're not all in with me. You were actually all in with the Patriots and meeting with Kraft and Brady and Belichick and whoever the hell else, Josh McDaniels, the people in charge of the air and the football.
Do any one of you think that it's even, why would the league even leak this information that he wasn't present?
No, I think Zeke and them are complaining. They didn't get to meet the judge that made the ruling. They didn't even get a fair hearing with them. I think Zeke and them put this out through the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. They're upset, as they should be. I like Roger Goodell, but mishandled this one again.
Welcome back, Greg Jennings, and we're joined now by Super Bowl champ Eric Davis. Let's return to the National Football League, where national anthem protests continued through the first week of the preseason. Big names like Michael Bennett, Marshawn Lynch sitting down, Malcolm Jenkins raising a fist during the song. Roger Goodell was asked about the protest, and he's taken an even-handed approach.
The national anthem is a special moment to me. It's a point of pride, and that is a really important moment. And I think, but we also have to understand the other side that, you know, people do have rights and we want to respect those. But I was with the Jets a few weeks ago, and one of the players was there in a fan forum, actually, and we were talking about this, and they were asked the same question. And they said, you know, there's a time and a place. And that's what we all have to sort of understand, the responsibility of doing it at the right time and in the right way.
All right, Whitlock, is that the right approach?
I think it's the right public approach. If I'm the commissioner, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not trying to inflame the issue. I think privately, the NFL should be discussing immediately taking the players back off the field during the national anthem. Have the national anthem when the players are in the locker room. And again, there'll be complaints for about a week or two. Then everybody will go back to just talking about football. I think it's the right thing to do from a business point of view for the National Football League. And I also think, and the players will disagree and think that I'm crazy, it's the right thing for them. They childishly think that taking a knee during the national anthem is some type of fight against oppression. They don't even know what to call it now. just oppression. It's a blanket statement about all oppression. It's not the right platform. It's not the right use of their platform. It's bad business. And again, as I've pointed out here, Colin Kaepernick took a knee, and no one is talking police brutality because of Colin Kaepernick. They're talking about Colin Kaepernick.
If the flag represents America, wouldn't the most American thing to do is allow a protest, freedom of speech, and then allow freedom of consequence? That a handful of owners would say, I served in the military, I'm not comfortable, I'm going to pass on Kaepernick. Wouldn't that be the most American thing? Here's our symbol of America, freedom of speech, you're kneeling during it, and then, as we all know with freedom of speech, it doesn't mean freedom of consequence. And then if it does offend a handful of owners, it won't offend everybody, no protest ever does, that owner can say, make a decision, doesn't have to be public, I'm going to pass on Kaepernick. I didn't like his shirt, I didn't like his kneeling, my father was in the Army. Like, isn't that the most American thing to do?
Oh, that's exactly what's happening right
exactly.
now.
That's why I'm comfortable with all that.
So as far as the commissioner saying that they're okay, and is that the approach to take, I agree that that is the approach to take. And part of the reason why they have to take this approach is that I understand we always get into the corporate aspect of it, and how the NFL is a corporation and they are dealing with Wall Street and they're dealing with the advertisers. Well, those advertisers also want the same 18 to 35s that the league wants to be their fans. Those are the guys that are, those millennials, okay? They are on Twitter. They do pay attention to this stuff. They do see what's going on. So it's better for them to allow this to happen. Allow the guys to say what they want to say. You have to deal with the consequences of what you say, absolutely. But I think that they are taking the proper approach to allow a citizen to do what he wants to do in that situation.
Absolutely, 100% agree. You can't, there is no clear-cut win. There is no win. If Roger Goodell in the NFL is against it and publicly shares that they are against it, they're going to get hammered. If they are for it, and they publicly share that they are for it, they are going to get hammered. There is no win. So stay neutral. And this is the problem that I have with issues like this, is everyone feels like you have to pick a side or choose a side. There's nothing in life that says you have to pick a side. You can't stay on the fence. If being neutral or keeping your mouth shut is best, then keep your mouth shut. If you feel like you have something to say and you make a point of, these guys being childish, or I think you're underestimating their education and their knowledge of what it is they believe that they know. And yes. I don't think that's a fair assessment for you to call it childish, because if they are willing to stand for what they believe, whatever that is, they have a right to do that.
I agree, but Greg, I just want everybody, it's a television show. And just understand, this is a television show. And it would be off script. Let's say that I felt like overweight people are, and I'm not joking, are discriminated against in this society. Because they are. There are biases against overweight people. And let's say in order to express my discomfort with that, I wanted to do the show naked. Just to put it in everyone's face. This is what overweight people, we want to put it in, and it's bad television and drives viewers away. The company has a right to say, you know what, you're off script here, man. We just want you to talk sports and do this. We don't care about your fight for overweight people. Just do the television show we're paying you to do. Play football. Use that money that you're acquiring from football to fight oppression. Use the money you make from this show to fight your weight problem and problems against people that are overweight. Again, it's a television show. These guys are off-brand, off-script. It's bad for business, and I get it. They're well-intentioned, but I just don't think they have a total view of the big picture and what they're involved in. And sometimes, again, it's no different when the NBA years ago, David Stern said, you know what, you want to come in your white T-shirts and your gold chains and put a suit on. It's better for business.
They changed the rules.
Yes,
they
changed
the rules.
Let me ask you, what if I was, okay, I'm a player, and I'm going to kneel. You're my agent, Eric. Not that I don't like you, but he had a better, you're my agent.
Got it.
Okay, you bid for it. You're my agent, I'm going to kneel. What would you tell me on the Friday before the game when I said, Eric, my agent, I'm going to kneel Sunday's game, what would you tell me?
But think about what it's going to mean.
Exactly. And that's where your point. I've said this from the beginning. That's why I believe in the freedom to protest and the freedom to consequence.
Yes.
That if you were a player's agent, you would have a right, you would have a responsibility to tell him, you're my guy, but this may land really poorly.
But this is the thing. I think where everyone's making an assumption that the guys aren't considering that. Exactly. And what they're saying is that it's worth having the conversation. Because no one may be talking about, you're saying that no one's talking about what Cap did, that they're talking about Cap, and they're not talking about the brutality or the just. No, they're not. Guys, they're also talking about the things that are happening in Charlottesville. They're talking about, they are
I'm not talking about the individual players. I'm talking about the conversation.
No, I'm saying the conversation that he's opening up.
I want you to bring me somewhere on TV when Kaepernick gets discussed, there's this big, long discussion about police brutality. It's not there. All right, welcome back. Christine Leahy is back, and we're joined now by Mike Tyson's former manager, John Horn. As you just saw, the beef between McGregor and his former sparring partner, Paulie Malignaggi, is blowing up this week after Dana White released a video of McGregor knocking down Malignaggi during a session. Now the former champ says he wants to fight Conor for real.
This weirdo didn't do either of those things. He constantly put me in the press with these edited videos, edited pictures and whatnot, and now it's picked up a ton of momentum. So now the bad blood is there. Now we got to fight.
Cowherd, do you think Conor will fight Paulie Walnuts?
I think there's probably a chance. He still has 4 fights under contract with UFC, and UFC would sue, obviously, because, like Conor's a big deal. I think it's weird. He's 29. Conor's 29 years old. Like, if you're going to change sports, Michael Jordan proved this, change at 9 years old, not 29. Go from Little League and say, Dad wants me to play basketball. I think to change at 29 is really hard.
Whoa. If Michael Jordan had been offered $100 million to change sports for one night of hockey, for one night of soccer, for one night of anything, he's going to do it. Christine, when you said this yesterday on The Herd, that he was setting up the Paulie rematch, I was like, that's genius, because I do think he's going to stay in the fight game, or he wants to stay in the boxing game if he can.
Well, he can make more money, and you can probably answer this better than all of us can, but I think he should probably do one more fight at least this year, UFC, just so that he can still have a presence there in case boxing completely does not work out for him. We don't know how he's going to look in this fight, and I think he has one more under contract. But then, yes, I think that the perfect setup would be to to box Paulie Malignaggi. And when I saw that sparring video, it's really unfair to leak it, because a guy who's the sparring partner isn't giving his best effort. He's trying to give him the best look of, this is what I think Floyd would give you.
Right.
And I want to see what they would both look like on equal playing fields. And Paulie Malignaggi announced his retirement earlier this year. He's definitely not as great as he used to be, so it might be someone that could be more of a fair matchup for Conor McGregor, and I would like to see that. And now there's so much hype around it, it just seems like that's what they're setting this up for.
Paulie's problem was he wasn't properly prepared for what he was walking into. He should have really been made to understand that his sole purpose in that whole camp and his whole event was for the benefit of Conor.
Yeah.
I'm sure whatever he got paid, had he went in there with the right mindset, he'd have gotten much more, because they would have given him whatever they had to give him to make sure Conor looked the way he looked. He wouldn't be offended by what's going on with these videos and so forth and so on. Basically, it's supposed to happen. What do you want to send a video out of him knocking out Conor? I mean, Paulie's, he's feisty. He's a fighter. Fighters start from in here. Start from here. He's embarrassed. He's walking around, but he wasn't prepared for what he's about. This is an event that the world wants to see.
That looks real to you? It doesn't look real to me.
No, well, I'm not going to take that away from Conor, because I believe that if he didn't do it, he can do that. I think, but that doesn't make Paulie a bad fighter. Paulie just was under the wrong mindset for this event right here, and he got agitated and he walked out of it instead of asking for some more money.
John, what if Conor loses, but is respectable, lands occasional punches with Floyd Mayweather?
Which is exactly what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
I don't see how people can understand that this man you're talking about right here, just on his grit, his cockiness, his confidence alone, and it only has to be in his mind. It doesn't have to be in my mind. It doesn't have to be in yours. He's a capable professional fighter who has no idea what we're talking about. Floyd's going to walk through him. He's really thinking, he don't understand what planet we're living on right now. So for Floyd to take him from that mindset to where we have him right now, it's going to take a lot of work. It'd be different if Floyd was a one-punch knockout artist. It's going to take Floyd 3 or 4 rounds to make this man start to believe, okay, maybe he's better than I thought he was.
So if again, I'll ask again, if, let's just say McGregor is at least reputable, all right, we would agree he doesn't win the fight, but he's reputable.
Right.
And then he has the choice, after a fight or two, as you noted, does he go boxing or UFC?
Well, if he holds his own and is not embarrassed, 100% he's going to be back in boxing.
Why?
He has the personality for it. He wants to challenge every one of them. He's going to have a lot more money.
You make more money as a boxer.
As a high-level boxer, obviously he's been saying, I mean, what is Conor made $3 million his last fight or whatever the case may be? I don't know anyone else who ever jumped from $3 million to $100 million. I don't know where that happens at or whatever. But, you know, I'm sure he has obligations to the UFC with Dana, and he's going to be involved with it. And Dana is the one who deals with Conor, not boxing. Boxing deals with Dana. They pay Dana. Dana pays Conor.
If he fought Paulie, do you have any idea of how much either one of them would make? Like ballpark?
Early to say. You gotta see.
Say. Boxing is a one event at a time thing. It's always been that way. That's why people are always looking for, well, boxing's almost finished, almost finished. It's been almost finished for 50, 60 years. It's not going to happen like that. Each event takes care of itself. After this event, you will see where Conor goes, and a lot to do with deciding what Floyd decides. But it's not that kind of a sport.
There is no schedule. It's based on who's the hot fighter.
Schedule. Who cares who the Brooklyn Nets play in December? But they got a schedule.
Listen, I think the point here, Christine, that you're getting at, which I find fascinating, is that you already have an interest in McGregor versus against Paulie.
Because I want to see them uneven playing.
And again, if
you got an interest because of what has started already with Paulie being upset.
And Dana White is smart. Paulie's people are smart. They know if we see all this, we're going to want to watch that fight. Because who does Conor fight?
That's not even to be contemplated yet. This fight that's happening right now is going to determine everything that Conor does.
I think what John points out that's interesting is because of the structure of UFC and the structure of boxing, if you could choose between the two, you get richer with boxing.
Sure.
And if McGregor is capable, he may just leave UFC and go to boxing.
It's got to be reasonable. He doesn't even have to be great. Just reasonable.
Just reasonable. Not embarrassed.
And I believe he has every bit of enough talent and ability to
You're the only person that thinks that besides McGregor.
Welcome back. John Horn is back again, and we're now joined by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Tiger Woods, who, as we just saw, was arrested for DUI back in May. Now the toxicology reports from that night have been released, revealing that Tiger was under the influence of 5 different substances, including Xanax, Ambien, THC, Vicodin, and the high-powered painkiller Diluted. Whitlock, what's your reaction to the report?
I'll give a serious reaction first before I go off into joke land. I think this is a reflection of modern America, that people over 35 in this country have been convinced there's a pill to fix everything. And so I'm not at all shocked that Tiger is a pharmacy given his health problems and the surgeries he's had. I don't know what percentage of America I think at any given time could have a toxicology report that says there's 5 different drugs in their system, but people over 35, it might be 10% of America. We're a pill-popping nation, and Tiger's a part of this nation.
You know, to me, I wasn't surprised at all, because when you go from greatest blank to within a year or two can't make the cut, young, wealthy, I almost suspect drugs. Like, it's not like all of a sudden you forgot how to make a putt. Like, when you go average to can't make a cut, that's like, it happens. The greatest golfer I've ever seen to can't make the Buick Open, I suspected he had addictions or some level of pharmaceutical
Mike
influence.
Tyson 2.0.
Well, listen, most men can't when you take one woman away from him. Tiger lost all his at one time. In my opinion right now, what Tiger's dealing with is called life. You can't become a complete person walking on the same side of the street all your life. He's been pampered. He's had everything a you talk about these other athletes, when you're an individual athlete in an individual sport and you're that great, nothing doesn't go your way. Everything goes your way. And so life has a set of challenges for everyone. I don't call them problems. There's challenges. And he's dealing with them poorly right now. And that's what I think, that's all he's doing. He's doing the same thing we're all doing. He's dealing with life, and he hasn't dealt with this side of the street before. And so these things that's coming up right now, they talk about the THC because it's weed or whatever. It's not even nowhere near the worst drug on that list there. Yeah. And so all that being said, it's just a microcosm right now of what Tiger's dealing with. He's dealing with life.
I like the word life there, because that's what this strikes me as. Like, this guy's got problems, okay? Forget about, is he going to win another major? Is he going to make a cut? Is he going to even compete in another golf tournament? This guy's got a lot of problems ahead of him. He's got his family to take care of. He's got 2 kids, 2 young kids. And like you said, he's a pharmacy right now. This is super ugly. I just feel awful for Tiger. I don't even know, like, how to talk about him now until he gets his mind right and gets out of rehab and cleans out his system.
I can think of one way to talk about him. I think this legitimizes, for people that have always thought Tiger was a pharmacy, I think this legitimizes that conversation. If people want to throw the HGH question out there from earlier in his career, you can do. It's legitimate to do so.
Well, you know, you bring up a really interesting point, John, that in team sports, even a great player has to sacrifice.
Correct.
The coach. LeBron James has told Kyrie doesn't want salary caps. Man, England's got the royal family. Golfers at the top are our royal family. They don't answer to almost anybody. And I think it's a very real possibility here. He had a very insulated life. And once golf wasn't ideal and he dealt with injuries, he was lost.
And don't forget about losing his father as well. That's been a huge moment in his life that he's talked about at length. Just so super sad with.
And the only couple of people he had to deal with as far as career concerned, that never really worked for him. His caddies, neither one of those, or his coach.
That's right.
Who was the
Those relationships didn't
Bruce
work.
Harmon. So he's not really had a track record of really getting along at all. And everything we know about him is what he wants us to know about him. And that's not complicated to me. I know that life has a set of challenges for everyone. I don't care what your financial situation is or anything.
By the way, you were dealing with Mike Tyson. Exactly. Similar to golf, he was Tiger. Exactly. He ran an industry. And you saw behind the scenes.
Yeah, as close as anyone's been, yeah, I've seen it.
And there were times that it was great, and there were times it was completely
Absolutely,
uneven.
But it's all life. All these guys, sometimes I dealt with that so long, and what happens is the public gets so consumed with what they love, they fall in love with these guys at a very young age, and all of a sudden they really in their mind believe they know them. The public gets to feeling like they know these guys, and they don't know them at all. They know the athlete who they're in love with. And that's what Tiger is dealing with right now. So we have no idea how this is truly affecting him now, how the public is looking at him as opposed to how they always looked at him. We don't know how he's dealing with that while he's in the bathroom in the morning.
We don't know that.
We don't know that.